Alright, back once again with a brand new Atlas GP38. This is one of the most recent runs. I think it's the most recent run of Atlas's EMD GP38-2. This is the Conrail quality one, as you should be able to see there. There we go. So it's GP38-2 in Conrail quality, road number 8060. This is a good little engine, so let's open it up and get started. You got your usual plastic casing, usual bubble wrap, this really thick foam that Atlas uses that is not very easy to, sometimes it's not very easy to get the locomotive out of. It was okay with this one. Let's see here. Try and get the foam out of the handrails. Always tricky without breaking the handrails. Okay, there we go. Alright, so there you can see, if the camera will focus. Alright, here's the Atlas GP38-2. Let's go in for a closer look. Alright, starting on the front, you have the horn up on top, the 3-chime horn. Then below that you've got number boards and the headlight. All of those are lit. There's also a little bit of light that escapes down through the windows, so it looks like there's a cab light on, which considering I'm using this pretty much exclusively for switching, I don't think that's a problem at all, but some people might not like that, but it's there. So and then you have, going down, you have the actual nose of the locomotive, and then some handrails. The handrails do seem to pop out a little bit. If I put a little bit of glue in it, it'd probably help, but oh, come on, there you go. Okay, I can't get that back in. I'll get that later. And then down on the deck you actually have a safety tread. There's not a whole lot of handrails on this model, as far as the or grab irons, I should say. There's not a whole lot of grab irons. You can see them kind of a little bit there underneath the Conrail, like at the very top of the where it says quality, but that's about as much grab iron as you're gonna see. There's not a whole lot of it on this locomotive. And then going down to the very front of that, you've got the little drop plate and some MU equipment. Then you have the coupler cut bar. There's not really a whole lot of actual MU hoses. In fact, they're all cast in there behind the plow, so it's hard to really even see them at all. But then there is, of course, the plow, and the plow looks pretty good. Then continuing on to the side, you've got the 2 windows there, and then you've got the 8060 number, and then below that there's a little bit of signage that says GP38-2, and then there at the very bottom you've got some panels, and then on the white stripe there's a little bit of builder's information that is probably maybe slightly readable if you have a magnifying glass, but I can't read it with the naked eye, and you probably won't be able to see it with a camera either. Continuing along, you've got some more equipment up on the top, some good vents. The vents on this are okay. They're not the best. They look alright, but I think overall the detail on this model is a little bit lacking. I assume it's because it's probably older tooling. But continuing along, you've got cast-in doors all along the sides. You've got the Conrail quality logo. There's a couple different designs, and this is a really small Conrail quality logo. They've got some Conrail had a couple of different sizes and different logos they had on the sides of these, besides the normal can opener, and then they had a larger Conrail quality logo. Then down at the bottom you've got more of the safety tread on the deck, and then more handrails. The handrails are pretty sturdy. They're not too bad. They do seem to not like to stay inside of the holes, especially on the actual body as opposed to on the deck. They tend to stay in there pretty well, but otherwise. Continuing down onto the fuel tank, it's pretty plain, but that's kind of how they look anyways. And then back up top you have the dynamic brake area, the 2 exhausts, and then a fan. And then, like I said, it's not the most detailed, but it looks pretty good, and especially when you're not up close, it definitely still looks very good. Continuing on to the rear, you have more grills that are just cast in, of course. They're nothing special. These are probably the least impressive out of all of them. Up at the top you've got 2 more fans, and then a cast in grab iron there around the back. Once again, it's just cast in, it's nothing special. And then Besides that, there's a little bit of signage below the grills that I can't read at all. Hopefully, maybe in editing I can see what it is, but it looks like it might just be lines, maybe not even text. And then around to the back, up at the very top, you have more grab irons going all the way down. They actually are probably better looking than any of the other ones. I still don't think they're separately applied, but as far as cast in goes, they look pretty good. Way better than anything else on the locomotive. And then you've got the little circles for the marker lights, and then you've got the headlight and the number boards. These are also lit. In fact, a little bit better lit than the headlight. One of the best things I think about this locomotive is the lighting. It actually has pretty solid lighting. I think by the time these were painted with the Conrail quality paint, they would have had ditch lights though, and I've noticed that Atlas tends to slack off on ditch lights on models that should have ditch lights. Their SD60s, SD60Ms, a lot of the more modern GP series locomotives that should have ditch lights don't. Some of these, like the Conrail ones, were in a period where they were not on there yet or so I can let it slide with, say, the Conrail ones, but some of the brand new CSX ones definitely have the ditch lights on there, and Atlas seems to be ignoring that. Or the SD60Ms that were built with the ditch lights that, once again, Atlas has just sort of ignored. Okay, after that we've got the Conrail quality logo there printed on the back. The printing on this model is pretty good. It's not perfect, especially when it has any sort of handrail that it has to go over. It looks kind of weird, but it works. Then at the very back you've got the steps on either side, you've got the coupler cut bar, you've got the MU hoses that you can see a little bit better. I'll get a different angle of that just so you can see it. The MU hoses that are just cast in, once again, they don't look very good, but they're there. At least the coupler cut bar is, however, separately applied, and that does look pretty good. Then you have the sort of step thing down at the bottom. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I don't know if that's a step or not. I don't think they're supposed to have steps, but that could have been, once again, a carryover from the older versions that Conrail had, and probably other GP38s may have been built with. The only difference on the other side is there's a little bit of a porthole window there that you can see underneath the rear grille, and then there's a little bit of signage to the right of that in between the porthole window and the Conrail quality logo. Once again, I can't really read what that says. I think it might just be some lines or some imitation text. I don't know that there's anything actually readable there or not. Alright, now the good thing about this locomotive is it actually came with a DCC decoder installed, so I can show it off to you without having to go buy a decoder. So here, I'll show you the headlight. The headlight's currently on, and you can see that it is definitely lit, as well as the number boards there. The top beam isn't quite as bright. It's actually pretty dim compared to the bottom beam, but I mean, it's pretty well lit, so it works. And then you can kind of see, I think the front plastic that's in the front windows is actually connected to the number boards or something, because as you can see, they do light up, but there's not actually a light inside of the cab. And here you can see the other side as well, with the very bright headlight and the bright number boards on the camera. They're actually perfectly readable in person. In fact, they look really, really good, but the camera is picking that up way more than necessary. One curious thing I have noticed about this locomotive is it doesn't really tend to respond to power as far as throttling up and down until you hit about 30 speed steps. So currently going through, we're at 23, 24. You can see it moving just a tiny bit, but then once we get to 28, you can see it moving a little bit more, 29, 30. And there you start at 32, it's actually moving. So it's kind of strange that it takes so long to get actually moving. Yeah, it's at 25 right now, and you can see it's moving just a tiny little bit there. But noticeable movement, and if there's anything coupled to it, it won't move until it's about 35, just because of the extra weight, and the amount of traction that this locomotive has isn't very high. That's, yeah, see, that's at 30 right there. So I normally run it about 61, 60, not 61, that's just what happened, the controller happened to go to. So, yeah, that's kind of a curious thing, but let's bring it back around here. Okay, now I guess we can show you some of the running. There's not really a whole lot else to show you. This is a fairly simple locomotive. It gets the job done. It looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but like I said, it gets the job done, and it works. So let's, without further ado, let's get it running. As you can see, this locomotive does struggle at times because it doesn't have very much traction, because it's such a small locomotive. So on certain curves or hills you might have issues, and that sound you're hearing is this reefer car here, this white one. It's an Athearn one with sound. But yeah, like I said, it does have some issues going down hills, or going up hills at least, but it made it on the downhill now. Didn't get a very slow stop there, and the reefer won't shut up. Let's see how slow we can get this to move. I can see visibly that it's moving, but I can't tell if you can see it on the camera. Okay, now it's not moving. There we go. Yeah, now you can see. It is at 27. Let's see how low we can go. It looks like 27, still moving. 26, still moving. 25, barely still moving. 24, and I can see it. Okay, yeah, now it stopped. So yeah, but it's got pretty good slow speed, and now the reefer's shut up, so now you can actually hear how loud or how quiet this locomotive is. Let's see if we can go the other way. That's at speed step 70. So pretty quiet. And there's the reefer again. It's pretty cool for the first couple minutes, and then the reefer gets annoying. I'm not sure how you turn it off. I'll have to look at the manual. But that's about it for this review. I don't have anything else to say or show you. Hopefully you can hear me over the reefer. I'm trying to talk pretty loud. And maybe I'll do a review over it, and in that time I'll figure out how to turn it off, or at least turn the sound off. Because it is a nice thing to show off, and kids think it's kind of cool. But it does get annoying after a while. So I guess that's it. Thanks for watching.